In section 5.1, number 51, we have to verify that this equation is an identity. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is start with the more complex side. And try to simplify it to look like the right side. So in this case, the more complex side is the left side, so I will start with just working with this stuff and try to manipulate it to look like the right. And the first thing that jumps out to me is these powers of 4. And I can break that apart in the fact that it's a difference. So that's a difference of 2 squares. So the second technique I use is factoring techniques. So cosine to the 4th, so these are a difference of 2 squares, and the square is cosine squared and sine squared. And so when I factor it using the difference of 2 squares, I get this. And I have not touched the denominator, so I will just copy that down. And one thing I love about cosine and sine squared is the Pythagorean theorem, which makes this guy just turn into 1, which simplifies this fraction as cosine squared x minus sine squared x over cosine squared x. I noticed on the right that on the right side there is no sines and cosines, it's just the secant squared, so I can get rid of these cosine squareds, which I see because I see there's a numerator and a denominator, but I can't do it right now because I can't do it if there's still a minus sign in the fraction. But I can decompose the fraction, which comes in handy, so I'm going to add that to our tip list. So the third tip is when possible, when you want to break apart the fraction and simplify, you can decompose the fraction so you can eliminate parts of it and simplify parts of it. So on this one, if I just decompose it, I get this. And on the left, I can see that that simplifies to 1, right? Cosine squared over cosine squared, that equals 1. And on the right, that turns into tan squared, which is related to our secant squared. So now I have 1 minus tangent squared, and I can replace that tangent squared with, so let's do 1 minus, it has a relationship with secant, which is that tan squared equals secant squared minus 1. So replacing this guy with that guy. So using my identities. And then now just simplifying and distributing that negative. When I distribute that negative, I get 1 minus secant squared x plus 1, which simplifies to 1 plus 1 gives me the 2 minus secant squared x, which equals my right side, which was my goal. So now what I've ended with after manipulating my left side is equal to my right side. So my left side equals my right side now.